How you doing? How you feeling? You feeling good? I'm feeling good. I feel very good. I feel very, I was gonna say centered, but that's not it. I don't know, purposeful? I don't know, I don't have a word for it. But it's also like a red flag. Like when you feel that good, it means maybe you're overconfident. Maybe I'm overconfident. Might be. Anyways, Angelina Jordan, Autumn Leaves. If you remember from the previous reaction, I was gonna do this one first, and it was like, don't do that, don't do that. Do it. Just do what you see. Just do it. You'll get to the other stuff. So Autumn Leaves. Don't know if this is interesting to you, but this is a fact. I have played Autumn Leaves who knows how many times over years and years and years, because it's like a jazz standard. But here's what's up when you're in a jazz band, jazz standard, where you don't have vocalists. It's one of those songs that I didn't. When you say song, that's the giveaway. A song. Songs usually have words. I didn't know it had words. I don't know if I've ever heard the actual song with words. I just know it from jazz bands, combos, big bands. That's it. See, I told you it wasn't that interesting. Okay, let's do it. I'm excited. You know what I'm excited about? Even if, like, there's no way this could go bad, because I love the chord changes and I love the melody of Autumn Leaves. It's like a pre-win. There's no way it can be disappointing. Kind of curious what the lyrics are. Let's go. We definitely didn't have this intro for Autumn Leaves. That's a dominant chord. Or pre-approach dominant.
The fallen leaves drift by the window. The autumn leaves of red and gold.
Okay, I just have to give you my perspective as an instrumentalist. How I'm already shook. Obviously, you know, the singing, right? But let's relate it back to the original concept that I never played it with a singer ever, even though many times. I've never played it this slow with anybody, but that's because, especially when you're dealing with guitar players, like we don't have a lot of sustain on our notes. Horn players, you know, you can. But a lot of times when you're in a band setting, you're going to rotate soloists or melody players. You keep the tempo for all of the players. So obviously, the horn players do the best job of mimicking singing because they can crescendo after they start a note. But I'm like, oh yeah, that's why it's awesome to have a singer, because you can go slow and they can take up all that space.
I see your lips, the summer kiss.
I would like a little percussion.
The sunburned hands.
Oh. Well, let's keep filling in the gaps. We just talk about music as it happens. Okay, there's no percussion. Who's keeping the time? Bass player. Bass player's keeping the time. Doesn't always have to be a drummer. Bass player's keeping the time right now.
I used to hold since you went away. The days go long, and soon I'll hear old bitter song.
Okay, you're gonna hate me for interrupting this much, but I have to be me. I have to do what I'm doing. Hearing those strings, I'm kind of wondering if this is an arrangement from somewhere else and maybe it's mixed differently and I can't hear what's going on. The way the bass player is playing does not actually seem clearly in time. Usually when the bass player is holding the groove down, it's very clear. This might be one of those that's a backing track from somewhere else. I'm guessing where they'd have a conductor. really seems like there's a conductor for this. If there's a conductor, he's keeping time. He, she, they keep it, them, they're keeping time. Whatever.
But I miss you most of all, my darling. When autumn leaves start to fall.
Yeah, with that piano in the background, piano strings, bass, I feel like this is being conducted.
Since you went away, the days go long, and soon I'll hear a bitter song. But I miss you most of all, my darling.
Sorry, if you see my face getting all like, when I start thinking hard, it looks like I'm constipated or something. What I'm actually trying to do, I'm trying to listen to the strings and the bass, any extra instruments that are just popping in, and her voice, and I'm trying to think about them all at the same time, but it's really hard to focus on multiple parts. Usually, in a classroom environment or something, or if I was preparing for a class, then I would just listen to the song multiple times and focus on one element each time, and then put it all together. But it's on the fly, man. Oh, and that accordion.
When autumn leaves start to fall.
Okay, actually, maybe the coolest thing I didn't even bring up. I kind of want to go back and dig in a little bit. We're not going to rewatch the whole thing at all. Is the accordion player just doing counter melodies, like improvised counter melodies? I mean, maybe it's not improvised. Maybe someone else wrote out counter melodies. But let me go. I want to listen to some of the accordion in the background.
Leaves of red and gold.
Oh, and the strings have a counter melody too.
The summer kisses.
Yeah. Okay, so now I'm being forced on the fly to see if I can even define what a counter melody is, just instead of orchestration. By the way, I did not take orchestration. That would have been a really cool class to have taken. I did not take orchestration. A counter melody has elements. I'm making this up, by the way. I don't think I ever read a definition of counter melody, so I'm just like trying to see if I can say something that makes sense as to how I think of a counter melody. A counter melody is something that has the feel of a melody. It has kind of the function of a melody, and it's something that goes against, which is counter, right? Counterpoint, point against point. When you think about Bach. Counterpoint, point against point, lines against lines. So counter melody is a melody that moves against the original melody. As opposed to just regular old rhythm section, I don't know if I don't want to say orchestration because like I didn't take the class. A lot of times the instruments are filling out the chords. I can never get the other hand in. A lot of times when you actually look at a score of music and there's a lot of things going on, you have like a melody, counter melody somewhere in there, you know, maybe some motifs thrown in. And then you have filling out the chordal structure, and you have approach tones, passing tones, moving to other chord structures. But they're really, I was gonna say not singable. They're singable, but they're not. They're overly simplistic. Like a motif, maybe. A motif, definitely passing structures inside an arrangement. Neighbor tones, passing tones, approach tones. There's not really they're singable, but there's not a singability to them. It's not something you would typically, if you're listening to the song, you'd want to sing. But I think if you listen to the song, 4 or 5 times, and you focus on the accordion along with her, you might find yourself singing her lines and then humming the accordion lines. Does that make sense? It's almost like a secondary melody. Yeah. I'm interested to see how people respond to this because, Angelina fans probably expect the focus to always be on the singer. I don't know, it's just not. When there's so much interesting stuff going on, why would you focus on one element? There's just so much cool stuff going on. See, I knew I was overconfident. I knew it. Because right now I'm like, bro, you gotta explain yourself better. Okay, I'll try. I will try. Let's give it a last-ditch effort. There's a weird mix to the backing track, so I feel like there's some extra musical elements that might have been there that I don't really hear. But right, we definitely had a piano, string section, bass player, accordion, and Angelina. So when you think about things typically from how many people you have, that's a very small setup. 5 people, quintet, very small. Well, I say quintet. We don't know how many string players there were. There could have been 4 or something. Maybe 2 violins, 2 violas, or just 2 violins, or 1 violin double tracked or something. But it's actually a very intimate arrangement of the song. But it's really complex for how few people are participating. What that kind of reminds me of is like a string quartet. Violin, viola, cello, bass. And the key to making it work, I think off the top of your head, the key is the singer's amazing. But the key to the arrangement working is that when you have so few ingredients, they need to always be complementing each other. So we have these counter melodies in the string section and the accordion, and by having them with 2 different instruments, we get 2 different sets of timbres and 2 different feels of how they work in the arrangement. Bass is very straight down the middle. The bass is very foundational, which is why I said timekeeper. There were some parts where the bass seemed a little weird time-wise, which made me think of conductor. I think which you could have a quintet where you have a principal person who's keeping time for everyone with head nods. That's really the thing. Here's the beat. Boom. Boom. Because in a string quartet where people play together, that happens a lot. Yeah. I think we have a tangent to go on here, which is I think slow songs have this feeling of being overly simplified. Like, oh, it's slow. You have way more time to, prepare your fingers or prepare your voice or get your hand line up, or you can look further in the music if you don't memorize. You can scan forward a little bit because you're at a slower time. I think that's all true, but I think slow music is much harder. In my experience and dealing with people, slow music is ridiculously harder because there's so much time in between the pulses that your weaknesses are very much revealed, right? Speed and energy can cover up a lot of mistakes. And the music is moving by so quickly that people don't have a lot of time to think back to previous things that happened. But when music is going slow, you're very exposed as a musician. You're extremely exposed. And if you have any little quirks or habits on your notes, your attacks, the releases, now they're going to be happening back to back very slow, and it's going to be very easy for even an untrained person to notice, that's weird. That's weird what they're doing there. Why do they always do that? Yeah, anyways, I guess that's my thing. I guess we're not focusing on vocals really at all on this one. Vocals are gorgeous, but the arrangement is where I'm at. Oh, okay. Well, let's put a neat bow on it and get out of here. What I said about being exposed is true for everyone in the setting, including the vocalist. She's so in command as a vocalist, taking up the space, that naturally I'm going, oh, that part's solid. And so my ear is drifting to the other things, right? If she was making mistakes, if she was doing something weird, then my attention would be constantly drawn back to her because she is at the top of the mix. She's the top, she's the loudest instrument. But her being so relaxed makes me relaxed, and now I'm looking with my ears at other things going on. Anyways, see, shouldn't be overconfident. Confident. Shouldn't be I should be overly competent. I should train to be overly competent, not overly competent. Should do that. But overly confident. See, I knew it. I still stand by everything I said at the beginning. That melody, them chord changes are awesome. There was no way that a singer was gonna make me not like the song, because it's just classic. Classic 2-5-1s, 2-5s everywhere, whatever. Let's get out of here in bed. I'll see y'all again. If you watch the other videos, I'll see you in a lot of other videos, but if you only watch the Angelina stuff, I'll see you in like a day or so. I don't know. What do you say when you're leaving? Sleep well, eat right, take some time out with yourself. And if you're too busy to take time out, I'm talking to you. You gotta take some time out. If you're like, I'm so busy, you don't know what my life is, I'm driving people back and forth, bro. If you're like, I don't know, you got a lot of responsibilities, when you're driving somewhere, just pull over into a gas station and just park the car. Just sit in the car for 5 minutes. Just 5 minutes. Time you got stuck in traffic was a little worse than they expected. You can find, if you don't have time, you got to find time. You have to. You need it more than anybody else. All right, I'm out of here for real. Goodbye.